What's going on, everybody? You know who it is. This is Austin with Austin Smith Real Estate on the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast. And I'm actually taking a brief hiatus from the podcast, but we'll be back. Don't worry about it. But I did want to break the hiatus to talk about what pretty much everybody is talking about at this point, and that is the coronavirus and exactly what it's doing to the economy, to the markets, to the financial markets. And stocks are plunging. You know, Wall Street actually has to suspend, or not so much suspend, but pause trading activity on certain days just to prevent stocks from literally going into a nosedive. So stocks are taking a beating. I mean, they've been doing well over the past Lord knows how many years. So I know, one question, or one lingering question is the real estate market next? And I'm here to tell you, or at least in my feelings, that no, I do not believe that the real estate market will crash or, go into a free fall like 2008. Now, I'm not a Harvard graduate who studied statistics and data analysis, and I have all these numbers and have all this data and yada yada. I don't, but what I can tell you is, just human behavior when it comes down to investing, and what fear does when it comes into the market, what optimism does when it comes into the market. And from what I'm seeing, at least, 2020, with all the stocks dropping and, free falling, there have never been as many investors that are waiting to get into the action versus last time, where a lot of people were, so concerned with selling and not looking to buy, where this particular year, investors are kind of salivating at the mouth on being able to pick up stocks at an extremely cheap price. Like, they're waiting for it. So what does that mean for the real estate market? Is it going to crash? Like I said, I don't believe so. Now, I want to point out an interesting statistic, and one that one of my investing colleagues actually shared with me as well. According to Atom Data Solutions, that's ATTOM, a leading real estate provider, they looked at the home prices during the 5 recessions since 1980. And for a recession, all right, and I just want to clear the air on it. For anything to be a recession, the income, GDP for the quarter, or it has to be 2 consecutive quarters of basically negative growth, right? So just 2 consecutive quarters, 6 months. I don't want the word recession to be thrown around as, like a depression, or that recession automatically means we're going back into 2008. It's like, no, recessions, come in all shapes and sizes, large, small, and these are how prices stabilize. So, I want to keep that in mind. So, basically, they looked at the home prices during the last 5 recessions since 1980 and found that only twice, in 1990 and 2008, did home prices come down during the recession. And in 1990, the home prices dropped by less than 1%. During the other 3 recessions out of the 5, prices actually went up. And the interesting part about it is, and considering the fact that I'm listing and selling these homes now in the midst of this coronavirus situation, with the interest rates getting slashed to basically nothing, Fed interest rate, as far as that being, I think it was 0%. That being slashed to nothing, that's going to affect mortgage rates essentially. And now mortgage rates are as low as about 3.15, I believe was the last. But nonetheless, interest rates are really, really low. So now, at the same time, mortgage applications has also skyrocketed in the industry. Mortgage applications have skyrocketed, which means that there's more buyers in an already tight seller's market. So, and as I'm listing these properties where now again, markets are different. We're not talking about, I don't know, some Midwestern state or, anything like that. Or, we're talking about a metropolitan market or cities that are on the fringe of a metropolitan market. I do expect values to hold. If anything, I expect them to correct. Maybe they drop a little bit, but I do not wholeheartedly believe that mortgage prices are going to plummet or anything like that, simply because we're now in an awesome era from home buying, despite everything. Because if you realize that we're dealing with a disease, right? And we're dealing with a virus that, is kind of shaking up, the market. We're not dealing with faulty loans or too much money being in the wrong place and then Wall Street betting against us. We're not up against that in the same way that we were. But just in January, mortgage applications soared 30%. 30% this year. And they've done nothing but go up, considering the fact that the interest rate has done nothing but go down. So, I mean, especially real estate as a basic human need. I would love to run the statistics of people that lost their jobs in 2008 versus the amount of the people that became homeless. Because I do not believe, and I'm not disregarding it, I'm not being ignorant to the fact or anything like that. Yes, people lost their home. Yes, people found themselves in situations where, they couldn't keep a roof over their head. What I also believe is I do not believe that at the same time, a massive amount of people started living on the streets. A good amount? Possibly. A lot? Sure. A massive game-changing amount now becoming living on the street? I don't know. Especially families with children. They wouldn't dare. They wouldn't dare. Massive amount. We're not talking about like a small amount. But if that's the case, it only proves the point that real estate, being a basic human need, will always be a safe haven. So even when you look at the demographics of the previous recessions, and even just when I was talking about the last 5 recessions since 1990, the last 5 recessions, real estate prices have dropped in 1990 and 2008. In 1990, it dropped for less than 1%. In 2008, it was fueled by poor lending habits. It was fueled by poor lending habits. Now, don't get me wrong. Me being in the business, I'm not saying that the real estate industry is starting to do that again. I'm not saying. Well, I am. I am saying that. I am also saying that yes, the reality is that there are some type of, we'll call, characters or financial situations that should not have a mortgage, and I've seen get a mortgage. So, not to say that that isn't happening, but on a massive scale, 2008 was also fueled by very, very, very poor lending habits. So where does that lead us to? All right. Will it crash? No, I do not believe that. Can prices come down? Possibly in the midst of this, and maybe everybody's not shopping. I have seen open houses get canceled. So not to say that, this isn't happening or anything like that. Do I think that home prices are going to plummet? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Interest rates are still down. Purchasing power is still up. Inventory is still on a low supply. The reality is people are getting, people are not able to bring home a paycheck, not being able to work during this epidemic or pandemic, I should say. Yes, people are not able to work. Yes, people are, they're missing some checks. That's the reality of it. What I believe, though, is that I also feel as though, one, there's nowhere near as many people that are losing jobs compared to what we, experienced in recession. Now, if that starts to happen, do I see home prices still, potentially coming down a lot more? But I feel like with this particular virus and the efforts, applauding, people that have taken charge and are, self-quarantining and, doing what they can on their part, if we keep doing that and the virus goes away, which it eventually will, as with all the other viruses that we've had, do I see the markets bouncing right back up? Economy is still strong. Economy is still strong. This is not a financial issue, quote unquote. This is a health issue that is affecting and becoming a financial issue. In the same way that you as an employee, you as a self-employer, you as an entrepreneur, if you are sick, if you are disabled, you can't work. You can't work. You can't make money. You can't make money. You don't choose to buy certain things. Big things at that. So, America and just the country, the world is sick right now. The world is out of commission right now. The world is disabled, quote unquote, for now. Won't last forever, but for now. And as a result, economies can't make money because we're sick and disabled. But I'm going to finish it off with this final point. It'll always be a good time to buy. Always. It'll always be a good time to buy. You know why? It's always going to be a good time to buy because it's never a good time to buy. And here's what I mean by that. During the recession, it's not a great time to buy. Why would we buy? Markets are terrible. Economy's doing extremely poorly. Why would we buy? You know how many millionaires were created from 2008 that were buying real estate? We know now, okay, buy in the down market. Buy when it is the recession. Okay, so we got that out the way. All right, cool. So now we know when a good time to buy is. And I tell so many people, and they tell me like, I'm waiting for the next crash, the next recession. Why? Why? Like, what are you waiting for? What are you honestly waiting for? For prices to be the cheapest? All right, well, let me know how that works for you. Because I'm buying at all points. I'm buying at all points in the market. Me and White Flip came up almost $250,000 in an up market when prices were already, quote unquote, at the top. At the top. So that leads me to my other point. I'm not buying in a high market because prices are too high. So let me get this straight. And this is why I say it's always a good time to buy, because apparently it's never a good time to buy. So you won't buy when prices are cheap because the economy is doing bad. But you won't buy when the economy is doing well because the prices are too high. So you're not going to buy. Or you're going to be delayed in pulling the trigger or whatever the case, but like you're never going to get ahead on that type of mentality. When the economy is doing bad, and while home prices are the cheapest of what they would normally be, interest rates are sky high. On the flip side, when the economy is doing extremely well, and home values are the most expensive, interest rates are low. Like, it's never going to be a good time to buy, because there's always going to be something that's always going to be off kilter, or something that you're always going to have to work around. But one thing I do know is that people got to find some place to live. They might not have to travel, but they need a roof over their head. They may not, want to invest in a technology company, but they're going to self-quarantine underneath a roof somewhere. And that real estate is owned by somebody. It's either them or somebody else. But real estate will always be a safe haven market. Now, here's the difference. Income producing real estate will always be a safe haven investment. Residential income producing real estate will always be a safe haven. Right? So we're not talking about commercial, because commercial obviously is affected by businesses. And I don't know what a basic business need is, but a basic business need may not be an office or office space. Obviously, we can see that considering all the businesses that are open without a retail space. But as far as humans, a basic human need is shelter, along with food, along with water. It's always going to be a good time to buy. Always going to be a good time to buy residential income producing property. Or even investing in REITs, real estate investment trusts, or syndications, or crowdfunding. If you don't want to do the work yourself, you give that money to somebody else, they'll do it for you and give you a piece or give you a cut or ROI and some dividends. But real estate will always be a safe haven investment. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Wanted to get that out. Wanted to get my 2 cents in there. Please continue to be safe. And, energy is different, and that's okay. Energy is different amongst the world right now. But, we're going to stay down and, do whatever is asked to stop spreading the virus. especially considering the fact that it is flu season. And then we're going to rise above this and we're going to get on with the grind. And that's going to be life. Like, that's life. So here we go. This is Austin with Austin Smith Real Estate signing off. Be safe. Be hungry. And, yeah, let's get it popping.